Hello, my name is Greg Young, and I'm Vice President of Cybersecurity for Trend Micro. And I'm very excited today to have Andrea Berg from Arjo with me today. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, Greg. Nice to meet you, and I'm looking forward to talk to you today.
Yeah, it's great to see you again. And please tell me a bit about yourself and about Arjo.
Yeah, happy to do so. So, Arjo supports healthcare givers in long and acute care facilities to drive healthier outcome for people with mobility changes, with processes, training, and our equipment. We have our headquarter in Sweden. Main markets are North America and Europe, but overall, sales companies in around about 100 countries. As you said, my name is Andrea Berg. I'm the Chief Information Officer for Arjo, and I have a team of around 120 people working with me to support Arjo with IT solutions, and of course, at the same time, protecting our systems and taking care of IT security. Maybe a few more words to our business. We have capital sales, as you would usually probably expect. We also have service business, and a bit more special, we also have quite a large portion of rental business. And rental business is a bit special. We are getting requests for goods from the customer on very short notice. So this business is running 24/7, 350, 65 days a year. And we are supporting customers, for example, with medical beds and mattresses to treat patients after a surgery, for example, to get the vital functions and the mobility back. And this business, as you can imagine, is quite challenging from IT perspective. We need all systems up and running, and we also need to be IT security, to the point to be able to run our systems non-stop, more or less.
Right, and you've been with Arjo for some time too, as in technology with them, haven't you?
Yes, I've been now 18 years more or less with the company in various roles. Grown with the IT, and IT landscape, as we all know, has changed quite significantly. And I think the turnaround is going faster and faster.
So you're communicating with the board to tell them not only about the IT requirements and your planning and priorities, but also, of course, about cybersecurity. Uh, you know, we've seen communication with the board and how that is done radically change over the last, certainly the last even 5 years. For your own experience, what have you seen change, and what are some of your success tactics for communicating with the board and also hearing from them about what their concerns are, especially around cybersecurity?
Yeah, communication is absolute key. And as you say, we have different audience, like the board of directors, audit committee, management, but also employees, as well as external partner, and also our customer. Customer and healthcare, data can be quite sensitive. So also their communication is key to build trust and good connection. As you say, the communication has changed. In the, you can say, old days or a few years ago, IT security was much about backup and recovery, and that you could handle IT internal and with some communication to the top management, of course. Now, with the double extortion and ransom attacks, it involves everyone. It is not exclusive to a group. So communication nowadays involves all management, all of our bodies, but also all employees, because everyone plays a part and has a certain responsibility here.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You mentioned sort of the three constituencies or groups that the board, IT staff, employees. I guess four with customers as well. That's four very different kinds of messaging communications that you have to do. And it used to be that people weren't that sort of, savvy or knowledgeable about IT security, but they are now, and that must really change how you have to communicate with these groups and the types of questions they ask you or demands they make on you as well.
Yeah, I mean, management is usually interested, in a high level overview over our framework, and our framework consists of processes, training, and the tools. And yeah, you need to be a little bit balanced, which language you use to give them a good grip over our IT security, not to use too much of our IT security language, but also explain it in words that are a little bit easier to understand. And you can use analogies for that. What I quite often prefer, to give some practical examples to them. IT security, you can compare it with a house. You lock your door, and you maybe even put a camera on, or put a security guard in front of it. And I think this is what happened with IT security. I mean, we have the basics, the firewalls, the MFA, the access controls, which are the basics. But nowadays that is not enough. So now we have put a camera on, and we have put a security guard in front of the door. And responsibilities of everyone is, of course, not to keep the door open, to close the door, to stick to the principles. And all of that is what need to be covered in the communication to make it somehow visible, because, cyber threats, that is a bit the tricky thing, is invisible. You can't see it. I mean, it is a little bit tricky to explain to somebody how dangerous is public Wi-Fi. I mean, they can't see it. It's happening in the background, and that is a little bit the challenge here, to explain something that you can't see.
And I guess you're also the translator, having to explain the business requirements and the sort of the customer requirements to the technology staff as well. That we get so hung up in technology. You're also the person who's going to be, communicating to the technology teams and security about what the business and the customer compliance, those needs are, things outside technology.
Absolutely. I mean, different audience need different kind of communication, where you really stick more to the words, to the tools, to the technologies that they want to hear, that they want to see. And we are using all kind of channels also to communicate. Of course, we have the usual PowerPoints, explaining our framework, the tools, name it, the processes, the playbooks that we have. But we also use emailing, we use our intranet, we use personal meetings, and also conversations at the coffee machine are utmost important, to explain certain things in a more informal way, to keep the attention and also the awareness.
Yeah, there's multiple ways of doing it. That's so key now to keep people's attention as they're bombarded. Last time we spoke, you said something really interesting about that. It used to be that, how it's changed, that it's now a case of senior management often asking, what more can we do around security, rather than why are we doing that? Could you talk more about how you've seen those changes around, senior folks in business, especially, who generally are very aware now of security, and how that's changed your job?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is a question that senior management indeed ask, are we doing enough? And I usually say, you can never do enough. I mean, this is something that is changing so quickly. There is an entire, you can say, hacker business working against us, always finding new vulnerabilities and way of implementing raising ransomware. So you always need to be switched on and look around, stay connected, investigate the new trends. And I think here also communication is key. Communication with external partner, with other companies, just to stay connected and learn from each other. That's I think the best you can look at it. You need to be completely open because we all don't know what's around, what comes next.
Yeah, we often say in security we have no competitors. As a CIO or CAISO, we're all in this together, and we're just any bad things that happen are not good for anybody in the business or for people, because they're often going to have many devices supporting them.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And also for this, how smart devices get now as well, that must have really changed sort of in the medical landscape, where it used to be just sort of, the things on our desktops that we would use, that would be the limit of technology. But now the scope has changed so much to so many devices and, and things that are now smart, intelligent, and we have to be concerned about.
Absolutely. In the meantime, it impacts all devices, all channels. I mean, they are working, of course, with a PC, but also iPad, iPhones, everything, and that need to cover a wider range. As I say, you can't work just with a backup and recovery strategy anymore. You need to have more. You need to have the 360-degree view, more or less, and you need a constant monitoring service because it's also nearly impossible to keep pace with all the vulnerabilities and do all of the patching and upgrading in time, and when you get notifications like 0 day, I mean, with all the systems and the wide landscape, you also need some time for testing, and we are in healthcare business, so we also need to be compliant. So monitoring service is utmost important. That is what I say is now the camera in front of the door and the security guard, because you can't simply rely on backups and recovery and your firewalls and everything else.
Yeah, I really like your use of analogies and stressing that. It used to be we always used car analogies, it seemed, in security, and now we find ourselves using house analogies more. They're certainly better for a lot of architectures. That's true. Any sort of advice you could give just to close this out to any of our the CIOs and CISOs that are watching? Any sort of tips for communication or any observations you have that you'd like to leave them with?
Use and try all all options. I mean, for different people, different ways of communication works. We also present sometimes in a condensed ways the do's and don'ts, or doing quiz at the end of a training. It depends on the audience, if it's a wider audience, if it's employees, we are trying to do it also a little bit in a more entertaining way. For senior management
Right.
and partners, of course, it is a little bit more serious and focused on the facts, And in general, I think it is utmost important really to communicate also with the community and stay connected, learn from the community, learn from what others are doing, and then check and decide what you can adapt.
Oh, that's great advice, and I wish we had an hour more to speak. I learn so much every time I speak with you, but during this time we have, I really want to thank you for talking to me and everybody else at Perspectives, and I really look forward to us meeting again. So thank you very much again.
Thank you, Greg. It was nice talking to
Oh,
you
thank
and happy to talk again. Thank you.